boys and girls, welcome to my channel. I'm Classic and welcome to BenchART. So for today what I do have in here is the Falconeer, a game developed by Toshiba, and it is using Unity engine. So wait a second, Toshiba? Is that a dev team? Well, no, it's not. Toshiba, it is a single guy that did develop this entire game that you are seeing over here. But I will talk about that a little bit more later into the video, because I know that what you want about this, it is really how this game performs. So on the Intel HD 620 and using dual channel memory, my recommendation to play this game, it is to play at 720p using the low settings. So if you look to these minimum requirements in here, well, they seem pretty hefty, in fact. So it asks a minimum of a GTX 660 or an AMD Radeon HD 6770. There is no specification in here for any Intel graphic card or any AMD APU. So yeah, 660 is pretty beefy, but the reality, it is not really that, because if you go with 720p low settings like I'm doing it, you can get an average of 90 frames per second, and an average, and 1% low of 64, which means that at the low setting 720p, your experience will be above 60 frames per second all the time. So it's just perfect. I don't know why the hell they don't include the Intel HD, UHD, 620 on the minimum requirements, because it just plays fine. As for 720p median and 900p median, you can enjoy an experience above 30 frames per second, while 720p high settings, you can start to notice some drops under 30 frames per second, and thus I can't really recommend. And so, since my laptop using an Intel UHD 620 creates a lot of overheating, I decided to lock the game at 60 frames per second and play at low settings, and enjoy this perfect locked 60 frames per second. So it looks so damn smooth playing like this with an integrated graphic card, and the low settings still looks pretty good because you can still go below the low settings. You can set the game to the minimum and disable most of the stuff that it is in game. But no, the low settings, you still have reflections on the floor, you still have some minimal effects, so it doesn't look that bad, and you still have volumetric clouds, so they are not many, and it's just not really very well defined though, but it still looks pretty good, alright, and it runs at 60 frames per second, so what more can you ask on an Intel UHD 620? So it just runs fine, and that's awesome. So awesome optimization in here done by Toshiba on a Unity engine game that usually games on Unity are demanding, especially when they include a ton of stuff like this. So volumetric clouds, reflections, shadows, and also day and night cycle running in real time in here, and still 60 frames per second. Great job. So now that I've talked about the performance, let's talk a little bit more about the game. What is this, the Falconeer? So the Falconeer, it is a game that it is pretty much focused on dogfighting. You also have this beautiful open world with a lot of water and small islands, but for the most part, the focus, it is dogfighting, and it is set in a fantasy open world with very good graphics, which is quite surprising again, that this was all done by one single guy. I can't really stop giving big props to Toshiba, so very good job, man, if you're watching this video. Although aside from dogfighting and exploring the world and finding some monuments scattered throughout the game world, which kind of gives you an incentive to explore the game world, you won't be doing much more than that. So the only disappointing part, it is really that. I think the game, it is rather acceptable. And again, despite Toshiba deserves everything because of what he was able to do by himself in Unity while being fully optimized with a lot of high-end features like volumetric clouds, day and night cycle, wave simulation, and it is pretty much bug-free. Although there are some stuff that it isn't working pretty well, like for example mouse and keyboard control, so I highly suggest you to play on a gamepad, which it makes entirely sense for the type of game that this is. So I don't think that it is a huge problem, although we are on PC and I know that there is a lot of people out there that don't have gamepads. So according to Steam users, this game can get pretty boring after 30 minutes because you already have seen everything that the game have to offer. And because of that, I think that the price, it is a little bit too steep. So the game costs $29.99. It's pretty much 30 bucks. Probably the game deserves the money. Again, Tom Asawa clearly deserves the money for his work. But, you know, for the game itself, it's a little bit arguable. So it's just my opinion, alright? I think that's $29.99 for the game itself. It is a little bit too steep, so unless you are really into dogfighting, into a fantasy world, it can make sense, alright? But apart from that, I don't really see $29.99 as a good price for the game. I do see for the work that Tomasawa have done himself, yes. But for the rest, well, it might be more of the same. But the decision, it is fully up to you. I think that actually what it was able to accomplish, it is great, and on the technical part of the game you won't be disappointed with what this game have to offer graphically and everything. But yes, exploration and stuff like that, it leaves a little bit to be desired, but yeah, $29.99, it is not a full AAA price, so yeah, it's fully up to you guys. So thank you a lot for watching, hope you keep enjoying the rest of the video, which is not much left, and I do hope to see you soon. Goodbye.
Seems clear. Let's head back to Dunkel.
Shrine of the Sark. The drowned son was swallowed by a giant sark. He crawled up to its ear and asked why he had been swallowed. The sark replied, "Because in my belly you will be safe. Nowhere will your splinters be safer. There is no creature that would dare eat me. But I do not want to remain in your belly," the brother said. "But that is not true," the sark said. "If your kin buries you, you end up in my belly. If you fall from the sky, you end up in my belly. If your ship sinks, you end up in my belly. My belly is the only place you can be."